Ready?
Ready.
Hi guys, thanks for tuning back in. My name is Griffin of Griffin Tonic, and I'm here with one of my good friends, Kiwi,
Hello.
who is going to be talking to us about some seasonal fall beers.
Next up we have a traditional style Oktoberfest from Shiner.
Now, this is the Oktoberfest of the famous Munich Oktoberfest. I'm taking it. Do they take certain styles from Germany? Or just give us some rundown on the Oktoberfest style.
Well, everyone has heard of the Oktoberfest Festival, which actually started in 1810 in Bavaria. But the Oktoberfest beer craze didn't really start until 1818. And the Oktoberfest style beer was the first style and pretty much the only style associated with that festival.
Wow.
The reason is because they would brew it in March, so they would actually call it a Marzen originally. And it would brew and ferment during the summer season whenever it wouldn't be that great to crack open a beer and drink. And then in October it would be the perfect amount of fermentation and the perfect beer to drink in early fall. It's going to be kind of medium in your mouthfeel and medium bodied, but it's not going to be overly heavy like a porter or a stout, and it's not going to be really light and crisp like a wheat, Weiss beer, Pilsner, or anything like that. You are going to get a little bit of a spice flavor from it, so some people get nutmeg, some people get cinnamon, but overall it's just got a nice, clean flavor to it, clean and crisp.
Excellent. Well, I'm excited. Let's crack it open.
All right.
Now, with an Oktoberfest, do you want a lot of foam? Because I've heard having at least an inch of head of foam is ideal for any beer. Is that true when you're pouring an Oktoberfest?
That is true pretty much for any single style of beer. So when you're pouring, you typically want at least, usually about half an inch, maybe even a quarter of an inch of a head. It depends on the style of beer, though, how well that head holds. So you'll notice in your glass and in mine, both the head has pretty much already gone away. And that's normal for certain types of beer. Your amber ales, your red ales typically don't really hold the head as well. Your stouts, though, will keep that head on there for a couple of minutes after you pour them.
Okay.
So we'll see that with the Guinness later on.
Excellent. Well, cheers.
Cheers.
Wow, that's nice.
So you see,
and this is the Shiner Bock, right?
That is the Shiner Bock.
Shiner Bock,
this is very close to a traditional German-style Oktoberfest beer. You get that nice crispness to it. Not a lot of hoppiness, though, which is very nice because a lot of people, when it comes to your fall and your winter time, they kind of stray away from hops.
Okay.
They don't want that very strong flavor of it. And so you get a little bit of fruity flavor, a little bit of caramel. You get nice malt flavor from it, but it's not heavy.
It's not heavy. Alrighty, Kiwi, what's next?
Alright, so next what we're going to do is we're going to kind of bust a myth a little bit. We are going to drink the Harvest Pumpkin Wheat from Blue Moon.
Not to be confused with Oktoberfest.
We're going to do this because pumpkin beers and Oktoberfest are different styles of beers. In the United States, unfortunately, we do have a firm belief that they're kind of one and the same, but they are very, very different from each other. Your fruit beers, which this is going to be, actually have fruit in the brewing process. So if you ever see like a raspberry wheat, that actually has raspberries in it. Oktoberfest just use the traditional Reinheitsgebot, the German purity law, which are your yeast, malts or grains, hops, and water. Those are the 4 ingredients that go into every beer according to that law. So this is going to be a little bit different. It's going to have more of a spice flavor to it, and you're actually going to get that nice pumpkin. And you'll notice maybe a little bit difference in the color as well. Be a little bit darker, not by much, but it's colored like a pumpkin.
Colored like a pumpkin, rightfully so. Oh wow, you can smell the difference too.
Yep.
Oktoberfest is a little bit more mild, I would say, in terms of smell and more potent in taste. So I'm excited to try this one.
This smells like pumpkin pie.
It smells like pumpkin pie. That's awesome. Wow, that's really a vast difference.
It's pumpkin pie in a beer.
Yeah, it literally is.
And you do have different variations of it. Some places will add more spice to it and less pumpkin. Some will add more pumpkin, less spice. And you can also find pumpkin beers in other variations other than wheat. You can find pumpkin porters, pumpkin stouts, just
I bet that's a heavy
pumpkin
one.
ales.
Yeah.
And some will work and some won't. But really the difference between these two is going to be that fruit flavor. It's going to add a different mouthfeel to it, and you really have that stand out. This is going to focus more on your malt grain flavor.
Excellent. Alrighty, so round 3, I've heard through the grapevine, is a lager. Am I correct?
You are correct. The Studio Vienna, which is a Vienna-style lager from Studio Brew. This is going to be different than our other two beers, but also very similar.
Okay.
The main difference between ales and lagers, as I think I mentioned earlier, is the process of brewing. You use different yeasts, you have a different fermentation time and temperature, and with ales you can typically add a lot more additional flavoring. So pumpkin beer, you can't really do with a lager. Your lagers go by that German purity law that I did mention, and so this is going to have caramel flavoring. It's going to be a little bit heavier than these other two, but it's going to be very, very smooth. You're almost going to get no hop flavoring from it, but it's one of my favorites.
So this would probably be one of the, on a winter's night, sit by the fireplace beer.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
This would be a nice, cool, late fall evening, sitting outside when you're wearing a sweater kind of beer.
Okay.
And these Vienna style lagers are going to be very good for newer beer drinkers, people that typically go for American light pilsners, light lagers, your Bud Lights, your Miller Lights. This is going to be a good transitional beer for them because it's not going to be overly heavy, and like I said, it's not going to be overly hoppy. So they're not going to taste it and go, oh my god, I got cotton mouth, or whatever. That was weird, I'm sorry.
So I instinctively always, whenever I sample any kind of anything, I always swirl it. Are you supposed to do that with beer?
You can, and actually
Okay.
I'm glad that you're doing that with this one because you're going to get really nice lacing on this beer. So I don't know if you can really kind of see it, but you're going to have a little bit of that foam and it's going to lace on the side of the glass and then fall right back into the beer. That's just a beautiful thing. The darker you go with your beers, the better it's going to be. But it is good because then you can get more of your aroma from it. So you can smell a beer just like you would a wine, and
Okay. Wow, this one doesn't
You can
smell
get-
like anything I would have thought
you
at
can
all.
get that. What I mentioned bready earlier.
Mhm.
A lot of breadiness from a lager.
Yeah.
But breadiness in a very, very good way. This is also a great beer to pair with a lot of different kinds of foods. It goes
Okay.
well with your sweet desserts. It goes well with your savory. It is a very nice beer to be able to pair with a lot of different styles of food.
Okay. Awesome. Cheers.
Cheers.
Alrighty, so what's next?
So we're actually moving away from our seasonals right now. We're going to do something a little bit different. This is going to be the Gaelic Ale from Highland Brewery.
That is in Asheville, correct?
That is in Asheville. It's a
Asheville,
lovely
excellent.
brewery if you ever have a chance to go up there.
Alright, yeah.
They are one of my personal favorites. They've always had a really nice high quality. They've always had a really nice consistency too in their brewing, which can be difficult sometimes for new breweries. But they've also been a brewery since the early 90s, so they've had time to figure it out.
Yeah.
But your Gaelic Ale is going to be close, in my mind, to almost a red ale. So
Okay.
you're going to have that pop that you mentioned with our last beer. You're definitely going to get this with this one. It's going to be a very nice color, beautiful amber color, and not quite a pale ale with its hoppiness, but you are still going to get a bite.
Okay.
But to me, it's a very pleasant bite. It's not one that's going to...
Wow, yeah.
It's a
Oh,
beautiful
nice.
color. This, I think, was pretty much one of their first, everyone's favorite beers that they did at Highland. This is the first one I ever tried personally. And they also do have a good Oktoberfest as well called the Clawhammer.
Alrighty, up next, what do we have?
All right, we are once again going away from our seasonal beers and we're going to do something very different.
Very different.
This is the Torpedo Extra IPA from Sierra.
Nice, okay.
This is going to be a beer that if you like your hops, and I mean your bittering hops, you're going to love this. But one thing I do like about the Torpedo is that while, there's a fly right in my face, while it does have a lot of that bite, that dryness to it, it still does have a great flavor. The Pale Ale from Sierra Nevada is their staple, is their flagship, but this is a beer I think that kind of came on. You don't see extra IPAs very often, and it really kind of took over the industry a little bit.
Excellent. I've heard a lot of good things. Alrighty, so that wraps up our beer review, and from the intelligent Kiwi Derland, thank you again.
My pleasure. Anytime.
Yeah. Well, I'd just like to personally say thank you all for tuning in and watching.
Thank you, friends.
We'll be fine.
So that's
We'll be fine.
yeah.
That's a wrap. That's a wrap.